back to my channel. Right next to me is the reason why it's taken this video so long to be uploaded. This is my new baby kitten, Brie. If you've been following along with the winter wardrobe series on YouTube Shorts, Instagram, or TikTok, then you know all about how long it's taken me. But it's finally here. This is going to be a full, in-depth, step-by-step tutorial for this bow cardigan that I'm wearing right now. I want to preface by saying that you definitely don't have to use the same yarn type that I'm using to get a pretty cardigan. You can use any kind of yarn that you want. You can use fine weight yarn, cotton yarn, acrylic yarn, chunky wool, mohair, a blend of different kinds of yarns. It's completely up to you and the kind of cardigan that you want to make. If you want to make something fluffy like mine, then I will link the exact yarn that I've used. If you want something more lightweight, something that you can also wear in summer or fall, then a fine weight or medium weight acrylic or cotton yarn would also be perfect. And then you can pair it with the appropriate size hook that you can find on the yarn's label. I don't want to talk too much, so I have put all the information that you need to know about the yarn size, hook size, the measurements of my cardigan. Everything you need is on my website, and you can find this link by just scrolling down, and it will be in the description box of this video. I highly recommend just giving it a quick read before you start crocheting this project. It's going to be really useful to have all the information that you need before you start. I created my dream website with the help of today's sponsor, which is Universe. If you're a crafter, small business owner, or just anyone who wants to create their own dream website, you're going to love Universe. Universe is a drag and drop website building app where you can hyper customize your site to match your creative vision. You can start with a blank canvas or select one of the many templates available on Universe. There's so many different options to choose from, including mine. You can then make any kind of site that you want with Universe, from a simple link list for your link in bio to a full online shop where you can sell digital and physical products, or even a portfolio where you can showcase your best work. Here's a look at my Universe site. I love the creative freedom I have with the drag and drop feature and all the different customizations I can make, from changing up the text to adding fun doodles to customizing the shapes. And the best part is that you can use Universe on your phone, iPad, or computer. I love using Universe on my phone for on-the-go editing, for example, changing one link to another really quickly. But I'm also the kind of person who prefers working on a much larger screen, so I love that we can use Universe on the computer as well to make edits. If you're in the US, the Universe Sell Block will enable you to start selling your creations and start making money in minutes. You can also use the download block to sell digital items. Although the sell and download blocks are US only, the PayPal block can be used by everyone to accept payments. Universe is free, but you can make the jump to Pro to remove Universe branding, get access to the code block, and unlock additional customization options. You can use the first link in my YouTube description to get 25% off your first year of Universe Pro, or use the second link to try Universe for free and create your dream website. And that's it for me and Brie. I hope you love the cardigan that you will make today. Let me know if you have any questions, but before you do, please make sure to check out the description of this video because I will put all the information in there as well. Happy crafting, everyone, and I will see you very soon for our third winter wardrobe series coming very soon. So don't forget to subscribe if you haven't yet, and join me also on TikTok and Instagram for daily updates. To make the cardigan, we're going to go ahead and start by making the back panel. This is just going to be a rectangular piece, and it can be whatever length and width you want. So this is the length. Go ahead and just decide whatever length you want this to be, and then this is your width. So how wide you want your cardigan to be. If you want your cardigan to be fitted, then go ahead and take the measurements from each corner of your shoulder, and this will be the width of your cardigan. If you want something loose, then go ahead and make it slightly longer than your shoulders for a loose and comfortable fit. The wider you make it, the more oversized the cardigan is going to be, and the longer you make it, the longer the cardigan is going to be. I would also recommend having some stitch markers just so that you can track the first and last stitch of every row, just to make sure that your stitch count remains the same, that you're not accidentally missing any stitches. Now, this yarn is super fluffy, and I tried to record the video using this as the demonstration piece, but it's just too hard because you can't really see anything. That's why I'm going to be using this yarn for the demonstration. Please keep in mind that I'm just showing you a short demonstration piece. This isn't going to be my actual back panel. I'm going to make it with this yarn, and I'm going to make it much bigger. We're going to get started by making a slip knot. Here's how I like to do mine. Now we're going to start making our first row. This is going to be made with foundation half double crochets. If you've never done this before, don't worry. It's pretty simple once you get the hang of it, just a little tricky to understand at first. This basically means that instead of making a chain and then inserting a half double crochet in the chains, we're just going to be making a row of half double crochets from the start, so you don't need to chain or make any other stitches. We're going to start by chaining 2, and then you're going to turn your work to the back side. So this is the front of your chains, and if you turn it to the back side, you're going to see these 3 bumps. So in the first chain, you should have 1, 2, and 3. You're going to insert your hook into this middle bump over here. So go ahead and yarn over and insert your hook, through this middle bump over here. Then you should have 3 loops on your hook. Go ahead and yarn over, pull through the first one. Then loosen this one right here a little bit by pulling your hook up, yarn over and pull your hook through it, and then yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on your hook. This is your very first half double crochet, so I'm going to go ahead and get my stitch marker and place it through this very first stitch that we just made. Now you're going to insert your hook through the bottom, these stitches right over here, so the place that looks like a V, yarn over, insert your hook through these 2. It's going to be a little bit tricky. And then you should have 2 loops on your hook plus the V stitch that you went through. Then you're going to pull up a loop like that, yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through all 3, and that is going to be your second half double crochet stitch. I know that wasn't the most clear, so I'm going to show you again. Basically, you just yarn over, insert your hook through this V stitch here at the bottom. So that's what you should have. Then you're going to pull up a loop through the stitch, make it a little bit loose, yarn over and pull up 1 more loop, and then you should have 3 loops left on your hook. Then yarn over and pull through those 3 loops as well. Now you should have 3 half double crochets. Let's do this 2 more times together. So once again, you're going to yarn over and insert your hook through the bottom stitches. That's what that should look like. Then you're going to yarn over and pull through the stitch, make it a little bit loose, yarn over, pull through 1 loop, and then yarn over and pull through the rest of the 3 loops that are on your hook. So you should have your foundation double crochet. The reason we're doing this is so that the bottom of our cardigan isn't too tight, because chains sometimes make our work too tight. All right, let's do this one last time together. So yarn over, insert your hook through the bottom V stitch, making sure that you're grabbing only the stitch. Then pull up a loop through the stitch, make it looser, yarn over, pull through 1, and then yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. Now I want you to go ahead and crochet as many foundation half double crochets as you need to until you get the desired width. So whatever width that you want for your back panel, from shoulder to shoulder or wider than your shoulders, go ahead and keep foundation half double crocheting until you have that width. For this demonstration piece, I'm just going to do 6, or is that 7? And now I'm going to show you how to start a new row. So the back panel is made up of just rows of half double crochet. There's nothing special. It's just rows and rows and rows of half double crochets. So here's how to do that. You're just going to chain 1 and turn your work. Then you're going to completely ignore your chain 1 and you're going to yarn over and insert your hook into the first stitch, this one over here, like that. Then you're going to pull up a loop and then yarn over and pull through all 3 loops that are on your hook. And that is going to be your first half double crochet of row 2. I go ahead and get my stitch marker and place it through the first half double crochet of row 2. Now we're going to go ahead and crochet more rows of half double crochet. Another thing that I did differently is I did the first stitch into the 2 loops like normal, but then after that, all the other stitches, I went through these front 2 loops rather than these middle 2 loops, if that makes sense. So I would grab these stitches right over here like that, and then I would half double crochet, and I noticed that this gave me a prettier texture. But you can also half double crochet like normal. I don't think it made that much of a big difference. So now I'm just inserting 1 half double crochet into every stitch. Yarn over, insert your hook into the stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, and pull through all 3 loops on your hook. And now I'm going to half double crochet into the last stitch of row 2. So I have my stitch marker there to help me out and let me know that this is the very last stitch and I didn't miss any. And now I'm going to complete the half double crochet. Now we're done with row 2. We are going to do row 3 and all the rows afterwards in the same exact steps. So go ahead and repeat these steps every time you're starting a new row. You're going to chain 1 and turn your work. Then you're going to half double crochet into the very first stitch, completely ignoring your chain 1. And this is going to be your first half double crochet of the next row. I'm going to get my stitch marker and place it through. And now I'm going to go ahead and insert 1 half double crochet into every stitch to complete this row. Keep in mind that you can make any adjustments necessary. So now you're going to go ahead and crochet as many rows as you need to crochet until you get the desired length. If you're still watching and you're confused about why the back panel is so small, please keep in mind that I said that this was just a small piece for demonstration. This isn't my actual back panel. I just wanted you guys to be able to see the stitches clearly Right now I'm doing my last half double crochet of row 3. And now I'm going to start my row the same way that I started the other rows. I'm going to chain 1, turn my work, do my first half double crochet and place a stitch marker through it, and then I'm going to insert 1 half double crochet into every stitch all the way around. Here's a look at my completed back panel. It is a total of 36 rows and it's pretty long, exactly the length that I want. So here is where I ended. Now the next section is a bit confusing if you've never made a clothing piece before, so I'm going to try and make sure that I explain this in depth. So basically, let me just turn this around. So this is the top of my work over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work side by side. So first I'm going to finish all of one side, and then I'm going to fasten off, end it, and then move on to the other side. So that means that I'm going to create this front panel, then I'm going to sew the sides together, then I'm going to make the sleeves, and then I'm going to move on to the other side. So before we even start making the front panel, we're going to be making a small section for the shoulder. It would be much easier to understand if I had a piece to show you as an example. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to finish this side, and then I'm going to do everything step by step with you for the other side. So keep in mind as you're watching the rest of this video that this side and this side have the same exact steps. So whatever I show you over here, you can apply the same steps, even rewatch the section of the video and do the same thing on the other side. Another thing to keep in mind before we start is that the front panel is worked directly from wherever your yarn is. So you don't need to fasten off for the first side, you can just continue directly from there. The background noise is Bree. She's just playing with her little flower clip and she's gone. Anyway, back to what I was talking about. So wherever you ended your work, you're just going to start making the shoulder section directly from there. So you don't need to fasten off, reattach or anything. Just turn your work and start the rows for the shoulder section, continue into the front panel, and let's get started. So here is my finished left side. So I've got the shoulder section at the top over here. So the first 5 rows just build some length for the shoulders so they can fit around the curve of my shoulders. And then afterwards, it's just rows for the front panel. Once I was done with the front panel, I sewed it together on the sides, but then I left some space at the top. And then around that top space, I started crocheting the sleeves. So the sleeves are worked directly onto the piece itself. You don't have to create them separately. It's just pretty straightforward and easy, just round and round and round all around the armhole. And I did as many rows as I wanted to, and the sleeves are done. So that's what we're going to be doing on both sides. So now that you have an idea of what it looks like, it'll be easier for you to work with me. So I'm going to be working on the right side now. So all you have to do is just whichever side your yarn is at, just start working from there. So my yarn was here, that's why I started on the left side first. So you don't need to attach your yarn or anything, you'll already have your yarn over here, so start working directly. And then if you're working on the other side like I'm going to, then you're going to reattach your yarn with a knot in this corner stitch over here. And let's get started with the shoulder section. Go ahead and find the corner stitch at the top of your back panel and insert your hook through it, making sure that you don't lose track of which one it was. And then take your yarn and make a little loop with it, and then slide that loop through the stitch. Then go ahead and make a knot to secure this in place. Then insert your hook back through that same stitch. Pull up a loop and then chain 1, and this is how we're going to start your first row for the front panel. Then yarn over and insert your hook into that same stitch and do your very first half double crochet of this first row. Now we're going to be making the shoulder section. The shoulder section can be as wide as you want it to be. So depending on how wide your back panel is, you can decide how wide the shoulder section at the top is going to be. If you have a cardigan for reference, that would be great. I'm going to do 15 half double crochets, including the very first one. So 1, 2, 3, all the way till I have 15 half double crochets. And that is going to be my first row for the shoulder section. For the shoulder section, I'm going to do a total of 5 rows. And then we're going to get started with the actual part for the front panel. So go ahead and decide how wide you want the shoulder section to be. I would recommend anywhere from 10 to 20 stitches. But again, it just depends on how wide you've made your back panel. Once you're done with that, whether you've done 15 or more or less stitches, we're going to start the next row. So I would recommend that you do anywhere between 4 to 8 rows for the shoulder section. If your shoulder section is too small, then the length of your cardigan will become shorter because more of the front and back panel of the cardigan will take up space on your shoulders. So if you make your shoulder section a little bit wider, then the length of your cardigan will remain exactly what you want when you were seeing how long you wanted your cardigan to be. And I'll just go ahead and crochet 4 to 8 rows. Is completely up to you. I'm going to do 5 and then I'm going to put the measurement up on screen. So to start a new row, you just chain 1 and then you turn your work and then half double crochet into the very first stitch, and that is going to be your first half double crochet of row 2. And you always want to make sure that you have the right number of stitches in every row. Now just go ahead and do 1 half double crochet into every stitch. I'm going to complete my second row and then I'll show you my third row and then you can continue after that. I'm done with my second row, so once again, to start a new row, all you have to do is chain 1 and turn your work. So this is the same exact steps as what we were doing for the back panel, just a different number of stitches, and then insert your hook into the very first stitch at the beginning. That's going to be your first half double crochet of row 3. Now just go ahead and insert 1 half double crochet into every stitch to complete this row. And then go ahead and crochet as many rows as you want to for the shoulder section. Here's my completed shoulder section. It's 5 rows, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And now we're going to start making the front panel, but before we start crocheting, there's a little bit of math involved. So go ahead and grab a paper and pencil. You're going to need it. So the first thing that I want you to do is to just refer to your back panel and count how many stitches you have in every row. So that's how many stitches you have in every row. So just count that out, and how many total number of rows you did. So I have 49 stitches and a total of 36 rows. What you're going to do next is you're going to divide the number of stitches in half. So you're going to do the number divided by 2. And if you have a decimal, like for example, I have 24.5, just round it down. So I rounded it down to 24 instead of making 24.5 because there's no way that we can do half a stitch. So after dividing it in half, that means that we have 24 stitches on both the panels, 24 stitches on the right front panel, and 24 stitches on the left front panel. The next thing that's probably good that you can do also is take the number of rows that you have and divide it by 2 as well. So for me, that would be 18. So that means that on the 18th row over here, that would be the middle section of your cardigan. So you'd want the string or like the bow design to come right over here somewhere near the middle row, which would be for me the 18th row. Okay, so here's what I figured out. So that means that from row 1 till row 18, we need to have this slope. And the way we're going to do that is that we're going to increase the shoulder section row by row. So you have your shoulder section, which for me is 15 stitches. So I have to get from 15 stitches to 24 stitches by the 18th row. And I know this is confusing. So if you need to, just go back and rewatch the math part. So just keep all these numbers in mind, and now we're going to figure out when exactly we should add an increase. So an increase is just when you add an extra stitch in a row, and that's what's going to create this slope. So completely ignore the 5 or whatever number of rows you did for the shoulder section. That doesn't count anymore. It's already done. On one side, we're going to have a straight edge. That means that you have to add an increase only on the side where you want the slope. So this is another thing that you have to keep in mind. So it's going to go from 15 to 24 by the 19th row. I tried to make it 18, but it was just easier. Definitely don't have to stick to the exact numbers. You can change it up if the math is too hard. Just make it easier for yourself. Just remove a number, add a number. After that, from row 20 till row 36, I'm not going to do any more increases. I'm just going to do 1 half double crochet in every stitch, which will be 24 stitches in every row. So to help this make a little bit more sense, in the first row, I'm just going to do 1 half double crochet in every stitch. So I will have 15 stitches here. Second row, also 1 half double crochet in every stitch. So 15 stitches there as well. But then in the third row, I'm going to add an increase. So 1 increase, that means that the stitch count is going to become 16. Fourth row, 1 half double crochet in every stitch. It's going to stay 16. And then row 5, once again, I'm going to add an increase. So it's going to become 17. It's going to stay 17. Another increase, 18, it's going to stay 18, 19, stay 19, 20, stay 20, and there we go. So by the 19th row, I will have 24 stitches. So that means that 21 onwards, I just have to do 1/2 double crochet in every stitch, and it's going to stay 24, which is the number that we want in every panel. So that's how the bottom part of your front panel is going to stay like straight, and then the top half is going to have this slope. I don't know if it's every 3rd row or every 2nd row, so just look at this and completely ignore that. Now you can use my math section for reference. I'm just going to leave it here in frame if you want to take some notes or make the same format as me to figure it out. But everything depends on the number of stitches and the number of rows that you have for your back panel. So please use those measurements to calculate all of this. To make it easier for yourself, I would recommend something like this. So you can just do an increase every 2nd row or every 3rd row. So if you can figure out a pattern, so nothing too complicated, it's fine if there's an increase every other row too. So go 15, 16, 17, or if you have a small shoulder section and you need to jump from like 10 all the way to 24, then definitely you'll have to do an increase in every single row. So let me show you how to actually do an increase, and let's get started. Now we're all going to be following our own pattern. So I'm starting with row 1 of the front panel, and in row 1 I need to have 15 stitches. So I don't need to add an increase. I'm just going to continue doing 1/2 double crochet in every stitch. I'm going to do this for row 1 and row 2. And then in row 3, that's when I'm going to add an increase. I will meet you once I'm ready to start row 3. Another thing to keep in mind, I'm just going to give you guys a visual example. So the increases always have to be on the inside of your work. So when you're making this side, all the increases have to be over here. But when you're working on the other side, all the increases have to be over here. So every time you reach this side, that's when you're going to add an increase. And these should be straight edges. So never add an increase when you're at the end of this side. I finished row 1 and row 2, and now I've started row 3. Since I need to make row 3 16 stitches, I'm going to add an increase right here in this very first stitch. So the first stitch of every increase row is going to have 2 stitches at the start, because my work right now is facing the inside. So I'm going to add an increase here, not anywhere here, and not at the edge, because we need it to be straight. Okay, so row 3, let's add our very first increase. To make an increase, just 1/2 double crochet, go into that same first stitch, and simply add another stitch. So now you have 2 1/2 double crochets in the same stitch, and that is your very first increase. Now go ahead and just do 1/2 double crochet in every stitch for the rest of the stitches, and now your total stitch count for this row should have gone up by 1. So mine has gone up from 15 to 16, which is exactly what the pattern I created guided me to do. So now I'm going to finish row 3, and then I'm going to do row 4 with just 1/2 double crochet in every stitch. So another reminder that it's only 1 increase per row. Unless you really need to add 2 increases per row, then you can add 1 increase here and then another increase in the second stitch. Don't fill like 3 stitches in the same stitch, because that's going to leave a really big hole. Now I'm doing row 4. Row 4 also has 16 stitches, so I'm not going to do any increases. I'm just going to do 1/2 double crochet in every stitch. You just always have to make sure that your stitch count is exactly what it says in the pattern that you created for the slope section. And trust me, it gets much easier after this. This is the only bit that has like confusing math or something for you to figure out. But once you figure this out, it'll be really easy for you to make any sort of cardigan that you want. And you can also apply these techniques to other projects, whether you're making a V-neck sweater or anything that has a slope like this one. After learning the technique, you'll be able to create lots more by yourself, which is why I highly recommend challenging yourself. If you're still watching this video trying to see if it gets easier, this is your sign to just start. Go ahead and grab that pen and paper and just create the pattern for your slope. And if you make mistakes, you can just unravel it. It's going to be fine. You've got this. Okay, now it's time for row 5. And for row 5, I need to have 17 stitches. So that means that I'm going to add an increase. And I'm going to add it in the same side of the row where I added the previous increase. So once again, the side that's facing inwards. So row 5, I've already did my first 1/2 double crochet. I'm going to go back into that same stitch and do my second 1/2 double crochet, making an increase. Now for the rest of this row, I'm just going to do 1/2 double crochet into every stitch, and that's how I'm going to complete row 5. Right now I'm doing row 6, so this is just 1/2 double crochet in every stitch because I need the stitch count to stay 17. So there's no increases in this row, From now on, the pattern is going to be very similar. I'm just going to continue adding an increase in the rows where the stitch count goes up by 1. And the next row will just be 1/2 double crochet in every stitch. So that's the pattern that I'm going to repeat. Now I'm at row 7, so I need to make the total stitch count 18. Right now it's 17, so that means that I need to add an increase. I've already done my first 1/2 double crochet, so I'm just going to add an increase right over here in that same stitch. So an increase is just a fancy way of saying 1 extra stitch in the same stitch. So there we go. Now my stitch count will be 18. I'm just going to go ahead and continue doing 1/2 double crochet in every stitch. Now go ahead and continue following the pattern that you made for your slope, or follow mine if you're doing the same measurements. Now that you know how to do an increase, this should be easy. So I know that I said I'd check in after a few rows, but I just decided to complete the slope section so that you could get the full look because it was getting really repetitive. Also, that's Bishu taking a little nap. So I finished up till row 20, so I'm doing it right now. And after that, I'm just going to be doing change positions. Now the next part is super easy. We don't have to do any increases. Don't do increases on this side, don't do increases on the other side, no increases at all. Just keep doing rows of 1/2 double crochet in every stitch until you have the same number of rows as the back panel. So for me, I need to do from row 20 till row 36, and then I will be done with this. So go ahead, just 1/2 double crochet in every stitch after you're done making the slope, and you'll be good to go. So we are almost done. Once you're done with all the rows, so I've completed my total 36 rows for the front panel, you can fasten off. So my work is facing the straight edge right now, so my hook is along the straight edge that doesn't have any slopes. So this is perfect for me because when I fasten off, I can also leave a long string for the sewing and just sew it directly together. But if you are on the other side, don't worry, it's fine. You can just attach a new piece of yarn to your sewing needle and then sew the straight edges together. It's completely fine. It's just a bit easier this way. To fasten off, I'm just going to chain 1, and then I'm going to leave a slightly long tail for sewing. It's about the size from my fingers to my elbows. And then I'm gonna take my hook through the chain 1 and just pull and tighten to secure it in place. Now I'm gonna go ahead and grab my needle and just attach the yarn with a knot to the needle. I'm gonna do a double knot just to make it extra secure because sometimes it can slip out. So now we're going to be joining this side together. Sorry, that's Brie playing with the yarn wrapper in the background. So we are going to sew this edge closed, so the front panel to the edge of the back panel over here. And I'm going to sew from the bottom 23 rows up. So I'm going to sew 23 rows together. So that would be around here, same as what I did on the other side. Again, measurements will be up on screen. And then I'm going to leave this top part open, so I'm not going to sew this top part. It's just going to stay open so we can make this the armhole and the sleeves. The important thing here is to just make sure that your rows match up. I'm just gonna, that's her. That's what she's playing with. So as I was saying, the important thing is to match up each row to the row on the other side. So you have to make sure that you're joining the corresponding rows together. So I'm just going to take my needle and I'm going to thread it through the very corner edge of the other panel and pull. And that's basically just how I'm going to sew it. Now my needle is facing the right side, so I'm going to insert my needle from the right side as close to the edge as I can get and through the corresponding edge on the other panel as well and pull. As you're doing this, you have to make sure that you're not sewing this together too tight. So if you do it too tight, it's going to bunch up. We don't want that. We want it to be nice and loose. And now that my needle is facing the left side, I'm going to insert it from the left side as close to the edge as I can possibly get. Again, I'm on the right side, so I'm going to go as close to the edge as I can get and sew. I'm going to continue this all the way up, so I'm going to join from the bottom 23 rows up and then once again leave the space open at the top. Once you're done, here's how you're going to end your work. So I just like going through the same stitch at the very end to make it extra secure, and as I'm doing this, I'm also going to insert my needle through the little loop and pull, and that's going to make a knot just to secure it in place. I'm going to do this one more time because I don't want it to unravel, so there's going to be a double knot right over here. And now with this leftover, I'm just going to weave it in through the backs. So whenever you're weaving it in, these are the steps that I usually do. I'm just going to go through The loops of the stitches vary randomly. There's no specific place that you have to go through, so when you're weaving it in, the goal is just to weave as much of the leftover yarn into the rest of your project, so as much as you can get it to be, and just pull. I think that's enough, and then you can just go ahead and cut off the rest. And you're done. So this is going to be the inside of your work, so this edge, and then later, once you're done with the sleeves and you're done with the other side, then later you can flip it inside out, and so the front side of your work will be a little bit neater. But again, it's up to you and your preference, whichever side you like more. Now we're going to be making the sleeves, and the sleeves are worked directly around the armhole. So in the spot where I just joined this area here, I'm just going to insert my hook right through it. It should be pretty easy because I went and inserted my needle through it many times. And then once you've got your hook through, just make a little loop with your yarn so you can slide it. Once the yarn's through, we're going to double knot it to secure it in place. And now that that's done, insert your hook back through that same place and pull up a loop by pulling your yarn up, and you should have a loop like this. Then go ahead and chain one to secure it in place, and now you're ready to start. We are going to be half double crocheting all around the armhole. There's no specific place where you have to insert your hook. You just have to try and get as close to the edge as possible. So trying to grab the loops that are on the sides. I wish I could give you more of a guidance on this, but it really is up to the stitches themselves and wherever your hook can go through. So yarn over and insert your hook into, once again, the same place, so we can do a half double crochet to start this round. It's going to be a little bit tricky. And that is our very first half double crochet. Once again, I'm going to use my markers. Now we're just going to half double crochet all the way around. So yarn over, find the next space where your hook can go through as close to the edge as you can possibly get, and then half double crochet. So that is just about it. So one thing that you do have to do as you're going around is keep count of how many half double crochets you're doing. So on the other side, I did 42 half double crochets. So on this side, I have to make sure that it's the same number. So I'm going to try and do 42 half double crochets over here as well. Now just go ahead, insert your hook through the spaces wherever you get space and your hook can go through. Just make sure that it's not too far away from the edge. So if it's like somewhere over here, that's going to leave a big hole. And I will meet you back once I've come all the way around. I've come all the way around, so that's what my first round looks like. I've got a total of 42 stitches, just like on the other side. Now we're going to start doing our second round. Now this might not be the right way to do this, but it's just what I find easier, and I'm just gonna go ahead and do it. But if you have another way that you'd like to do this, go ahead. I'm not going to be ending my round. I'm just going to be directly starting a new round. So the way that I do this is, in my very first stitch, I'm going to be inserting a half double crochet and then placing the stitch marker back. So I'm not going to be slip stitching to end the round or anything else. I'm just gonna insert my hook to start the second round into the first stitch from the previous round. I promise it sounds more complicated than it actually is. So this stitch is quite difficult to get through, so I'm just going to do that and then I'll show you what to do next. Okay, I got it. So that's going to be my very first half double crochet of round 2, and I'm going to place my marker back through over there. So when I come back around, I'll know that I need to start round 3 from this stitch over here. Now we're just going to be inserting one half double crochet into every stitch all the way around, and we're going to keep going round and round until the sleeves are as long as we want. The important thing here is to make sure that you have the same number of stitches in every round. So just make sure that you're not accidentally adding or increasing or decreasing stitches in the round. So because I had 42 stitches in the first round, I need to make sure that I have 42 stitches in every single round after that. Now I'm done with my second round as well. That's what it looks like from what will be the right side. I'm going to start round 3, and I'm going to do this the exact same way that I did round 2, and all of the following rounds will be started in the same way as well. So after this, you're good to go. Go on and put on the audiobook that you're listening to, your favorite movie, your comfort TV show, anything at all, and just keep going round and round. So from the stitch with the marker, that's where you're going to start round 3. You're going to insert your hook into that stitch, and this is going to be your very first stitch of the next round. Go ahead and place your marker through it so that you know where to start round 4 from. Now just go ahead and insert 1 half double crochet into every stitch all the way around, making sure that your stitch count remains the same. And that's it. Now you're good to go. Go ahead and make the sleeves as long as you want. I am going to put my measurements up on screen, but keep in mind that I will be blocking my work. So the measurements that I'm putting up will increase a little bit. Once you're done with the sleeves, you can fasten off your work. I'm going to show you how to do that. So I did a total of 33 rows. You can do more, you can do less. Once you're at the end, just remove your stitch marker, and then you're going to insert your hook into the stitch that was marked and slip stitch. And this is just going to complete the round. I'm also going to slip stitch into the other stitch just to make it a little bit more secure. And then after that, I'm going to chain 1, grab my scissor. I'm going to leave a bit of a long string so I can weave it in and hide it later. And pull, tighten to secure. And that's how we're going to fasten off and end the sleeves. This yarn is back because it's very hard to see what I'm doing with this fluffy yarn, so I'm going to show you with this one instead. For the strings, or basically the ties of the bow, we're going to be making foundation single crochet, so go ahead and make your slip knot. And then you're going to chain 2. And just like what we did for the foundation half double crochets, you're going to turn your work to the back side and you're going to find that middle loop right over here. This time, you're just going to insert your hook through it. I keep trying to say needle, I don't know why. And then you're going to pull up a loop. You're going to make the loop on your hook a little bit looser by pulling up, yarn over and pull through one loop again, then yarn over and pull through both the loops that are on your hook, and this is going to be your very first foundation single crochet. Now we're going to be inserting our hook through the bottom of our work, so where the stitches are, right over there, and then you're going to pull up a loop through that, then make it a little bit looser, yarn over, pull through 1, and then yarn over and pull through 2, and that is going to be your second foundation single crochet. Let's do this 2 more times together, and then you can go ahead and crochet until the piece is as long as you want it to be. So insert your hook through the bottom, making sure that you're grabbing onto both parts of the V. Pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2. Let's do it one more time. Insert your hook through the bottom stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2, and that's what your work should look like. Once the string is as long as you want it to be, I did a total of 46 single crochets. After that, we're going to fasten off and then we're going to be sewing it onto our cardigan. So go ahead and get your stitch marker and just mark the place where you want the strings to be attached. Then go ahead and to fasten off, just chain 1, leave a little bit of a long tail so you can use the same tail for sewing. Cut your yarn, pull and tighten to secure it in place. Then go ahead and grab your plastic needle and attach your yarn to the needle with a double knot. I'm joining the strings from the bottom up 18 rows. So from here till here, it's 18 rows and I'm joining it right over here. So I'm going to go ahead and get my needle and put it through the piece itself, the edge of it first, like that. And then I'm going to attach it to the edge of my work over here, and then I'm going to remove my stitch marker and go back through the edge, grab onto the other corner of the piece and pull. That's going to attach my string securely on. I'm going to repeat this a few more times, going through the same space and the same piece over and over again, just so that I'm sure that it will never come off. And I'm ready to end my work, so I'm going to go back through again and come back out through the loop to tie a knot, securing it in place. And then with the rest of the yarn, I'm going to weave it in through the edges. So here's how you can weave in all of the ends for your work. Just go through some of the stitches in the back where it won't be noticeable. And then to end this side, just go ahead and cut off the extra yarn and you're all done. Go ahead and crochet another piece and then join it to this side over here. It's almost time to try the cardigan on. I'm so excited. I've got my usual setup here. I'm watching Once Upon a Time and Bree's sleeping right over here. She's so cozy, so cute, and I will meet you back once I'm done. I couldn't find my other stand, so just ignore this big black thing over here, but I'm going to show you how to tie the bow once you have the strings attached on both the sides. First, I like making a knot, and I tighten it. Then I go ahead and grab one loop in one hand and wrap the yarn around, and then I pull it through and tighten. Then I just go ahead and adjust the bow until it looks good. And there you go, you are all done.